The title of this book is The Spiritual Man. It is written by our beloved brother, Watchman Nee. We are in great part 6 of this book, great part 6, chapter 2 of this great part 6, chapter 2, the law of the Spirit, the law of the Spirit, chapter 2, subpart 6. How extremely important for a Christian to control his spirit by exercising his will so that his spirit may not go to extreme but be kept in that state of cooperation with God. Man's spirit can go wide, hence a healthy spirit is remarked upon in Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18. The spirit of man can take action independent of God's spirit if a believer does not exercise mastery over it and make it subject to him. We accordingly must be watchful lest our spirit veer out of God's orbit, lose its quiet communion with God, and be disabled from laboring with him. Occasionally, the irresponsibility of the spirit is due to its hardness. God requires a soft and tender spirit to express his mind. Should it grow harsh and unyielding, the operation of his spirit will be hindered. Only a yielding spirit can fulfill the thought of the divine spirit. And everyone whom his spirit made willing. Exodus chapter 35 verse 21. A Christian ought to be able to yield to him on the shortest notice. His spirit should be most sensitive so that it can detect the still small voice of God and respond right away. If it is hardened, the child of God not only is powerless to follow his will, but is also unfit to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit in his spirit. Hence, it is necessary to keep one's spirit in a tender and pliable state, so as to enable that one always to follow the delicate troubling daring. This is what the apostle means when he wrote, "Do not quench the spirit." In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 19. A Christian should heed every word, movement, and sense in his inner man carefully. By so doing, his spiritual consciousness will be sharpened and God will be able to make his will known to him. If a person wishes to walk by his spirit, he should recognize when it is irresponsible and unable to cooperate with the Holy Spirit, and also determine why he needs to guide his spirit carefully so as to ensure it against all disturbance but from the enemy and from his self-life, and to assure it a peaceful communion with God. Point number 8 concerning the law of the Spirit. Point number 8, condition of the Spirit. Condition of the Spirit. Let us summarize. A believer should know every law of the Spirit if he desires to live by it. If he is not vigilant and lose the cooperation of his spirit with God, then he unquestionably has fallen. To discern the particular condition of his inner man is one of the most central laws pertaining to the spirit, all which we have discussed in the chapter are included in this law. A child of God ought to know what is and what is not the normal condition for his spirit. since it should have authority over man's soul and body, occupying the highest position in him and possessing the greatest power. The Christian need to know if such is the situation in him or not. He should also recognize whether his spirit, if it has lost its normalcy, did so through war or environment. The condition of the spirit may be classified generally into 4 types. First type, point number A, the spirit is oppressed and is therefore indeclined. Point number B, the spirit is under compulsion and so is forced into inordinate activity. Point number C, the spirit is defied. Got 2 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 11, since it has yield ground to sin. Point number D, the spirit is quiet and firm because it occupies its rightful position. A Christian should know at least these 4 different conditions and also understand how to deal with each one if necessary. Often a person's spirit sinks and is pushed aside through his own carelessness as to the enemy's assault. During that time, he seemed to have forfeited his heavenly position together with its brightness and victory, and subsequently feel cold and withdrawn. Due to sadness in his spirit or to any one of a number of other reasons, his inner man is cast down and is denied the joy of floating above. When the spirit is oppressed in this fashion, it drops below its normal level. At other times, it may decrease into raining wine. The person can be so stimulated by his soul that his spirit falls under compulsion and it thereby denies it tranquility. Because of his pressure of creaturely activity, he may develop an unruly spirit. Too much laughter as well as many other actions may produce an unmanageable spirit. Protracted war with the enemy can provoke the spirit to become overly active. The saint may find his spirit overstretched to the point where it is powerless to stop, or the enemy may inject strange joy or other feeling into him to entice his inner man to move beyond the acceptable and right counsel of his mind or will. Whenever anyone is incompetent to guide his spirit, then he is open inevitably to defeat. The spirit on other occasions neither sink too low nor is elevated too high, but is simply defied. The defilement may be due to its attitude of hardness or illness, or to sink like pride, jealousy, and other, or to the mixing in with the spirit of such solical function as natural affection, feeling, thought, and so on. The spirit needs to be purified from its very defilement. In 2 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 1, 1 John chapter 1 verse 9. If a Christian wishes to walk after spirit, he has to discern exactly what condition is in, whether it is quietly occupying its proper place, has fallen too low, is rising too high, or is simply defied. He must learn, if required, how to uplift his oppressed spirit so that it measure up to the standard of the Holy Spirit, how to exercise his will to prevent his spirit from becoming overly active or to restore it to its normal if it is too active, and how to cleanse his defiled spirit that he may walk together with God once again. End of chapter 2. End of chapter 2. Now we enter in chapter 3 of 6 of this great book, the sixth part of this great book. We enter in chapter 3. Chapter 3, the principle of mind aiding the spirit. Chapter 3, the principle of mind aiding the spirit. If he is to walk after the spirit, the Christian must understand its very law. Without this fount of knowledge, he will not be able to apprehend all the meaning of the different spiritual sense, and naturally will be unable to do everything required of him. The demands of the spirit are all expressed through the motion of the spirit. To disregard spiritual movement is to ignore spiritual demand. It is this which establishes the priority of knowing the law of the spirit in one's spiritual life. But there is something else of no less importance for anyone wishing to walk after the spirit. The principle of the mind aiding or assisting it. This principle is to be applied constantly. Many defeats in spiritual life can be traced to ignorance of it, even though the law of the spirit are indeed known. And why? Because these laws can only explain to us the meaning of the spirit stirring and supply us with way to satisfy their particular demand. Whenever the spirit sends anything, we are equipped by the knowledge of this law to fulfill the requirement called for. If the condition is normal, we walk accordingly, and if abnormal, we can correct it. But a problem arises here, which is that we do not always enjoy such spiritual stirring. The spirit simply may not speak. Many have experienced an utter silence for quite a few days. It appears as though it is sleeping. Is this to say that during this day when our spirit is inactive, we should do nothing? Must we quietly sit for a number of days, neither praying, nor reading the Bible, nor performing any work? Our spiritual common sense vigorously reply, no, by no means should we waste the time. But if we do anything during that period, will it not mean that we labor in the power of the flesh and not according to the spirit? No, this is just the moment when we should apply the principle of the mind supporting the spirit. But how? When the spirit is sleeping, our mind must come in to do the work of the spirit. And before long, we shall see the latter self-joined to the work. The mind and the spirit are closely knit. They are to help each other. Many times, the spirit sends sometimes which the mind is made to understand, and then action is taken. While on other occasions, the spirit is unmoved and need to be roused by the activity of the believer's mind. If the spirit is inactive, the mind can induce it to move. and once moved, the believer should follow it. Such enrichment of the spirit by the mind is what we here term as the principle of law of the mind aiding the spirit. There is a principle in spiritual life which holds that in the beginning we should exercise our spiritual sense to apprehend God's given knowledge, but that afterward we must keep and use this knowledge by means of the mind. For example, you notice a great need somewhere. According to the knowledge